Alright, hi, Richard Moore here. So I wanted to address a question that's come up today, and it's also something that pretty much everyone encounters. So if you're an entrepreneur or startup business owner, this is the kind of thing that probably is woven into your day, and it's dealing with interruptions and distractions. So an interruption or a distraction may well be something that you've brought in yourself. You've been distracted by something on the television or someone saying something, or maybe you just have a bit of downtime for a moment, then something happens, you get a phone call or whatever it might be, and these things can perpetuate and compound. You know, how many times have you just gone, I'll just take 2 minutes, I'm going to check something on Wikipedia, an hour later you're going through article after article, or YouTube, oh, I'll now watch this one, now I'll watch this one, now I'll watch this one. I'll just have 2 minutes playing video games, and now it's 3 in the morning. Okay, so whatever the distractions may be, the issue of course is that if you were working really effectively before, you've now lost that momentum. So I'm going to read the question now. It says, Richard, what's the best practice for recovering from interruptions? I'm extremely focused when I'm working and when my day goes exactly as I planned it out. But if anything or anyone gives me an unplanned interruption, it feels as if it really derails me and I have difficulty getting back into a groove. Have you got any suggestions for regaining focus after being interrupted? Sound familiar? Right, I would presume it does, because this is the kind of thing that happens to most people. And you need to understand what's happening here, okay, to understand how to combat this, like with most problems. It's really simple when you get the basics of it. What's actually happened is that you're in this state of flow and you have what's known as momentum. So if you do something well, such as you complete a task or you write a report or whatever it is you're doing in your day, you write a blog post and it's just good and you've finished it and you feel great, and then you go and do the next thing and you're using the momentum from that first completed task, that little victory, to perpetuate, you know, the next one's success and so on and so forth. You're creating this scenario where you have this momentum pushing you forward and forward and forward. Now, interrupting that momentum with a distraction is very difficult to get things back on track, because sometimes the distraction throws you completely off. And the best way to look at this in terms of an analogy is when you're joining a motorway, or if you're in the States, a freeway, right? So the traffic is moving very fast at speed, and that represents the flow and momentum that you did have. If you've been distracted, derailed and taken off that freeway or motorway, wherever you are, then you can't suddenly be back up to speed again. Okay, you can't suddenly be at 150 kilometers an hour or 80 miles an hour, whatever your speed limits are, I'm sure. You can't suddenly be on that speed. You can't suddenly have that momentum and that, you know, that kind of forward charge and thrust again. It doesn't work like that. You have to have a slip road. In the UK, we have a slip road where you can get up to speed to join the traffic. You have an on-ramp, or whatever it's called in the States, where you get up to speed to join the traffic. You can't be expected to pull out into traffic at 3 miles an hour and then ramp up really quickly. It doesn't work. And it's the same here. What you need to do is build up that momentum, okay, to get yourself back into that zone again. So here's the solution. You're working at pace, you've got momentum, okay? If you read the book, I've tried for many years to say his name, Mihaly, let's call him. I was in touch with him a while back actually. This book called Flow is a very interesting study of the state of flow when everything is just kind of moving in the right direction. When we are in the zone, if you like. So when you have momentum, state of flow, or you're in the zone, okay, then you're distracted. Okay, this is now lost. Getting back in is a really simple process. What you need to do first is identify a business task of low intensity. This bit is crucial. So if you find a small task in your to-do list that's of low intensity, so I mean brain power, or of course willpower. The other book, where is it? Where is it? It's called Willpower. And here we go, by Roy Baumeister and John Tierney. It's a really good study of the science of willpower. It's just the short version, and the way I see it is willpower is like a battery. Okay, it is your energy, your physical energy directly relates to the amount of willpower you have. If you have a load of willpower, it's because you've got a lot of energy, but in addition you've got a lot of buy-in to wanting to work on something. You need something that doesn't require much willpower, because that requires energy. Doesn't require much brain power, something that's just simple and easy to do. Okay, if you can identify a low intensity, easy, small, simplistically completed task, okay, focus on doing that. This will create momentum. Not much, a tiny spark. It's the equivalent of you putting your car into gear. Don't try and get back into the big task you were doing before. This is if this is a problem for you. For some people, they can just launch back in, fine. But if you've been really derailed by a distraction, you want something just to get the wheels turning again. Now, once you've completed the task, you've got a tiny bit of momentum. Okay, now at least you're doing something that is now back in relation to the work. I don't know, do a post on Twitter, literally that. Go on to Instagram and stick out a post there. Do some social media stuff. Answer an email, send an invoice, something tiny that's easy to do. Then the main thing here is a new task, okay, of higher intensity, of slightly more brain power or willpower is required, slightly more intense, still of course business related. Okay, it's now just a case of building, just rinse and repeat. If you build in now slightly higher intensity task, you'll start to find your momentum's coming back. But the crucial thing is to make sure that these tasks are easily completed in short periods of time, because it's the small successes. Just done that, right, great, another thing ticked off, another thing done, we're making progress now. And that's what's going to get you back in the zone, in that state of flow, make you feel like you're back on track, and it brings you back in to this sense of, okay, now I'm really charging again. Then you can start working with these larger tasks and bring yourself back to where you were. It starts here, start small. Okay, don't just try and throw yourself back in, because sometimes your brain's like, man, I was there and now I've lost, the wind's been taken out of my sails. So to get yourself going again, you have to do it little by little. It's a much more effective way of doing it. Otherwise you have to summon huge amounts of mental energy to get yourself back in the zone. Again, this isn't for everyone. Some people are capable of just jumping on and doing, and some people are very action orientated, and this is never really an issue. Good for you, okay, if that's the case. But otherwise, if you feel that you get derailed by interruptions and distractions and get held back and you can't get yourself going again, it's typically because you're not identifying a small business task that can jumpstart that kind of motion. Then another one, then another one, then all of a sudden half an hour's gone and we're back in the driving seat, and then I can maybe jump into the thing I was doing before, and I feel like I'd never left that zone. Okay, hope that helps. Go try it. If this is an issue you encounter, this is definitely a strong way to work through interruptions and distractions that derail you from being in your zone. Hope that helps, and I'll speak to you soon.